What is it like? A year ago this time, we were wrapping up the holiday season like we are now, and we were also wrapping up the Patterson administration, and we were getting ready for the Cuomo administration. How are things different in a year in New York State?
Well,
if they are different.
There is, Joe. And I'm very optimistic. I am. Andrew ran on a platform that we needed to make dramatic changes here, but we also had to make this state competitive, not just nationally, but globally. And he's sticking to his guns, which is nice. And he's making people more accountable. He's working with local governments. We have a great conversation going on about some consolidations and things that have to take place because we have too much government in this state, and people realize that, I think. And I'm optimistic. Again, it's not going to get easier because the economy is not changing, as you know, but we got to be optimistic. But in tough times, people get together and do the right thing.
In the city of Albany, New York, because of the amount of state employment, you're to a degree isolated from the economic problems in the city of Syracuse and in the city of Buffalo. Has the governor been able to help your municipality in Buffalo and Syracuse as well?
Yeah, he has an agenda for upstate cities, which is nice. It's consistent. We all have the same issues. High taxes. We have too many kids failing in our schools. That's something that really has to be addressed, and it can be done nationwide. You don't have to just do it for Albany or Syracuse or Buffalo, but because we're losing too many of our kids, Joe. And basically what he's saying is show us the way. That's why he established these economic development and regional councils that we just finished and were awarded monies a couple of weeks ago. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what he wants. He wants us to participate. He knows he doesn't have all the answers himself. He needs to get it from us, and that's a good part of it.
You brought up schools. I was going to bring it up later on, but since you brought up schools, how are things going in the urban school systems and the suburban school systems as well with the kids?
Well, I think what we have to do, Joe, is look at our school districts separately. Urban, suburban, rural. We all have unique problems. And take urban, for example. As you know, I used to be a vice principal at Albany High School and spent many years in education. And when we sit back and let 50% of our kids graduate and 50% not graduate, that's not right. We're doing something wrong, and we have to make dramatic changes. And as far as I'm concerned, the whole issue of urban education has to be really closely analyzed, and a new template, a new plan has to be developed because we're losing too many kids, Joe. And it's not just the school's fault, don't get me wrong. We have societal issues, we have family issues, breakdown. We have kids that just don't understand the importance of going to school, and our teachers aren't going to resolve that. But what we have to do is get the bureaucrats out of the way that make the decisions and tell us, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to teach, then we're going to test you. Then if you don't do it right, we're going to run over you and say, you're all on probation. They don't have a plan. I mean, come in. If you're a state education department, come in and work with us. Give my teachers in our urban centers flexibility for our kids. If kids are behind in reading, math, science, the basics, we shouldn't be mandating other courses. We should be focused on where they're weak and then getting them ready for the jobs that we're trying to create around here and those that have been created. But it's tough because it's been done so long, the same way so long, that people are reluctant to admit, number one, there's a problem, and number two, they don't really want to get into changing a school year from 180 days to maybe 210, 220, or lengthening a school year, or doing things like keeping our schools open until 7 or 8 o'clock at night so our kids aren't on the street. And I'm talking specifically urban education. We need a new plan, Joe. We really do.
Back when you and I were in school, once in a while when I would get in trouble because you were a perfect student.
Yeah, right.
You never would. But my parents always knew because they would come home and the table was set for dinner and the house was vacuumed and they knew sister would be calling. And they, 9 times out of 10, would support the teacher. Right. Actually, pretty much 10 out of 10.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't seem the teachers in 2012 that get that kind of support that our parents gave them.
And I think one of the problems too, Joe, is that a lot of the kids don't have an adult role model telling them, here, this is what we want you to do. You should be. We have to start holding parents more accountable. The moms and dads of these kids have to be held accountable as far as I'm concerned. And, I started a truancy program in the city did about 6 years ago where we actually pick kids up during the school day, that aren't in school, bring them back to school, do some research. We work at the district attorney's office, family court, child protection, because we find out that kids really don't have someone saying, get up, get to school. And if we have to go after parents, we do that as well. But that has to be the rule, not the exception. I mean, when we were in school, if we missed school, our parents knew about it right away.
Oh, yeah.
There was a truant officer that would come to your house. How do I know that, Joe? Because I missed school once in a while. Okay, I wasn't a perfect student, but I mean, we have to really get real here, and it's a national urban problem that we're looking at here, and we could eliminate a lot of the crime that we have, a lot of the kids we have getting involved in stuff they shouldn't, if we gave them an opportunity, a better opportunity. And by doing that, we're going to have to change things pretty dramatically.
How is crime in the cities of New York State today, or in the cities of the United States of America? Is the crime rate going down, or is it going up, or staying the same?
Basically it's going down, but with the media and everything else, it seems like it's more. You know what I mean? Everyone's blogging, texting, doing everything, and getting. But one crime is too much. One shooting is too much. One, youngster getting arrested. That type of stuff. But we have to give these kids alternatives. We have to identify them early on. You can identify at-risk kids at a very young age. You don't have to wait till they're 15 or 16. If you track them through the schools and look at them in kindergarten, first and second grade, you're going to find out that it might be difficult for this kid.
You were talking about the economy of New York State and what Governor Cuomo is trying to do, and he is endorsing gaming in New York State, which you are in support of, and right now it's going on up at the Saratoga Harness Track. There are different gaming situations in the Indian reservations out of the western part of the state, but Massachusetts has just passed legislation allowing it, and people are going to Connecticut, and people are going to the Toronto area. You feel it's an opportunity for New York State, right?
Yeah, Joe, there's no reason that we should have billions of dollars a year going out of this state.
Right.
To Massachusetts, to other areas, outside. And what these other states are doing is they're being proactive. And my feeling is that we've lost a lot of money that the state could use, that local municipalities could use. I put a chart together with 2,000 video lottery terminals, making about $250 a day. You can profit $170 million a year. Now, that's more than that's my city budget, okay, for example. And why should that money go to the private sector? Why shouldn't we be doing it? Or we can run that type of an operation. Sure, you'd have to pay somebody to do it, but still you could eliminate a lot of property taxes. You could put much more money back into our schools, into programs. You could really deal with things that we can't deal with now because financially we're not in a position to do that. Every time a budget comes up, we talk about, are we going to be laying off police and fire and public service people, and that's tough for all of us, and it's across the state. But my feeling is that as opposed to giving them to out-of-state and out-of-country businesses, let us run them. Let the state take responsibility. Let the municipalities, with the understanding, this is what you're going to give back to education. This is what you're going to give to a city government or even adjacent governments if we open up something like this. It's a way out of debt. It really is. And I know some people are against gambling, but it's a fact of life. We have people that get on buses and go to Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun, and they go all over. And you're right, up here, the casino in Utica does extremely well. But why shouldn't we benefit from that?
Are you optimistic that for the economic future for cities like Buffalo, Amsterdam, Syracuse, Utica, Albany, Binghamton, that once were extremely prosperous, but the reasons they came to be in New York State seems to have gone away?
Yeah, well, what happened is we had all our eggs in one basket in a lot of our municipalities, and when you lose a Kodak and you lose major businesses that were in these cities years ago, and you don't replace them, you have trouble. We here in the capital region, we're fortunate. We have global foundries and nanotech. We have things going on here that aren't going on anywhere in the world, and basically our unemployment rate is the lowest in the state. But we still have to continue to be competitive. And in order to be competitive, we have to have a game plan that has to be consistent throughout the state. In other words, you come to this state, these restrictions are not going to be in your way anymore. These mandates, and that's what we worked with on an Economic Development Council, identifying some of the challenges of preventing new businesses from coming in here. It's not just about money. A lot of it has to do with time, with getting things done, getting permits out, getting approvals and things like that. Streamlining government so it's more business friendly, so we create jobs is what we have to do.
Because of the governor of Florida turning it down, it's been very good for New York State. We're going to have more high-speed rail, especially between Albany, Syracuse out to Buffalo. What sort of an economic impact do you think that is going to have on our state?
I've been talking about that type, high-speed rail, as well as just along the Northway. Why not have light rail? Bang, just come from Lake George down to the capital of the state of New York, and with the 70, 80,000 workers we have come in every day, that's a lot fewer cars, but in the long run it's a lot less expensive because you're not putting another lane on the Northway on both sides that you have to maintain and plow every year and clean up, and environmentally it's much more it's much better to do. It's a healthier way to deal with things, and my feeling is that we should have that capability. New York to Albany, I think, is probably going to be the first link, and going west, we should tie everyone in. There's no reason we shouldn't do that. Absolutely no reason. It is the smart thing to do if we're going to be competitive.
I guess Schenectady is going to end up now with a new train station as well because of this money turned down by the state of Florida.
Yeah, they are, which is good because we have one in Rensselaer, which is nice. It's very busy, and we have to do the rail between Albany and Schenectady. We have to improve that as well, and then we continue to go west. It's only going to benefit all the cities. I mean, I like to go to Buffalo. It'll be easier if you get on a train and get there in a couple hours, as opposed to driving 6 or 7.
Now, tourism is very important to New York State, the capital region, and to Syracuse and Buffalo. And with the high-speed rail, that's going to help tourism, right?
No doubt that would be we have so many good things going on, not just around here, in this capital region with Lake George and going up, all the way to Canada, but even going west to Niagara Falls and, seeing what's going on in Syracuse and Rochester. There's great things going on in the state that if people were given an opportunity to get there much more quickly and just not have to worry about parking and driving and the whole thing, you're going to see it really it will benefit everyone. Yeah.
We're wrapping up the holiday season, and on the subject of tourism, this is the 15th year for Hannaford Capitol Holiday Lights in Albany's Washington Park. And first of all, congratulations on that, because I understand that the shelf life for most of these shows is like 4 to 5 years, and you're into year 15.
And it was a great exhibit. It's still going on. There's a few days left, but people they love it. It's almost like a part of their holiday season. Families. There's so many new people that come in here, which only helps generate a bigger interest in this, and it keeps it going. And it really does. The money goes to Police Athletic League, which impacts a few thousand kids a year. And it really has been beneficial to all of us. But it's something that people really enjoy coming to, and I appreciate your help with that too, Joe. I mean, you're a real strong
well, it's a lot of fun. And Police Athletic Leagues, you were talking about kids and going to school. They do a lot, whether it's in Albany or Buffalo, Syracuse, or no matter where they are in New York State, New York City. They do a lot with kids, don't they?
They really do. And it's good because the kids see, because our police departments are actually involved in this, they see police officers in a positive vein. They're not seeing them on a TV show doing something or on the street when there's a situation, but they get to know these guys and gals, the men and women of the department, and it really helps out. It's a good way for us to communicate with kids that you can be successful. We want to work with you, and when you get so many volunteers that come together to help these kids, it makes it easier on all of us, especially financially.
One thing that we've been talking about this year is the economic impact of we've had Hurricane Irene. We've had earthquakes. We've had flood storms. I don't know if we got the pestilence yet. But what sort of an impact, like Prattsville was wiped off the map in the western part of the state, Schoharie County, devastation there. The canal system was just able to reopen recently to get stranded ships out. What sort of an impact did that have on New York State in general? Just horrible, right?
Well, yeah, it was a very difficult time. Each part you mentioned, but what it did was it brought the state together, and the governor did a good job bringing his agencies together, getting resources that we had to make them available, because there's a lot of tragedy. People losing their homes, losing a whole place like Prattsville. You never would envision that, having an earthquake. I was sitting in my office and I get a call. Did we just have an earthquake? I don't know. My building didn't shake, but it did. They felt it on the upper floors. And,
right.
I mean, but those are things we have to prepare for, and that helped us all review our plans, our disaster preparedness plans, which is good, and basically brought the state together so that we can deal with this if we have to in the future.